know what you are. You're trifling at the lies. The lies. The lies. Fall off a cliff for all I care. I know what you are. It's just his best friend who he used to have a crush on and went on dates with and had some minor sexual high school experiences with. Oh god, I know what you are! Are you kidding me? Why didn't you let this man uninvite her to the wedding? Let it fall apart. Let it fall apart. Let the friendship fall apart. So she's gonna go out with a bang. Hi and welcome back to AJ's Corner. I'm AJ. And we are having another episode of Wedding Wednesdays where we dive into all things madness and mayhem concerning weddings. So today, like in our last video, we are going to be looking at a few Reddit posts. And again, I haven't read any of these. I've only read the title, so we will be having organic reactions as we go through these together. Don't forget to comment any opinions you have because I will probably have a few. For the first one of today, we have, should I tell my best friend and her husband that his friend tried to come into my room on their wedding night? Okay, hello everyone. I just got home from a destination wedding and I find myself in quite a dilemma. My best friend got married to her now husband and the ceremony and the dinner was great, as well as the party. At the dinner, I was seated next to one of the groom's friends who at first seemed like a nice, normal person. I was the maid of honor, so he was asking me a lot of questions about me and the bride. I feel like he might have tried to get close to me now that I think about it, and I honestly ended up avoiding him at some point. Well, it's 2 a.m. and time to close the party. I helped the couple pack their gifts and then headed to my room. I was one of the lucky people who got to have a solo room. Now it's 2:30 a.m. and I'm removing my makeup. Suddenly, I hear a knock on the door. I think it might be the bride or groom, so I open up. After all, my friends and their families are the only people staying at this small hotel, so I felt no eeriness about opening the door at 2:30 a.m. The groom's friend is standing there in the hallway and asking me if he can sleep in my bed. I'm shocked, so I ask why, and he says that he can't sleep in his own room. I ask him why again, but he won't answer and says to me that he won't try anything with me, which was alarming to my gut feeling, because why would you need to announce that if you have pure intentions? I refused to let him in and smacked the door shut. Okay. The next morning, I was forced to sit next to him at breakfast because all other seats were taken. He did not say a word to me, which I'm happy about. I didn't want to ruin my best friend's wedding night and morning, so I kept the incident to myself. But I don't know if I should tell the couple. Should I say something now or wait till after the honeymoon or not say it ever? The bride, my best friend, would be disgusted with him but won't be able to do much since he's her husband's friend. The groom would either laugh it off or say that he just likes me, or he would literally become extremely mad and feel disrespected by his friend. Those are two very different reactions. We're not done yet, but those are two very different reactions. One is, oh, ha ha ha, he just likes you, or did that to my bride's friend, why would you do that? I know you don't know this groom very well because probably the person that would have the closest relationship to the groom is the bride, but I think that you would at least have a general idea of how the groom would react, like a more concrete idea of how the groom would react to this kind of information, because like I said, those are two very, very, very wildly different reactions. But anyway, let's continue. Chances are that I won't see this person again, but I don't know if I can keep this from my best friend, and I feel really disgusted and angry at this man and the fact that he would be able to get away with it. Okay, first of all, I don't think you should keep this hidden. I do think you should tell your best friend, the bride. I'm a little concerned because to some degree, I believe that you are not your friends. You are not the people that you hang around entirely. However, they do have a large influence on your behavior, and depending on how often and how frequently the groom is around this person, it could point to some very questionable things in the husband. I don't think this is enough to already cast doubt on the husband altogether, but the fact that you don't know what exactly his reaction would be is a little bit concerning, I'm not gonna lie, because the two reactions you mentioned are wildly different from each other. I do think you should tell your best friend, because she would also be able to make sure that at least she's communicated this to her husband in a way that ensures you're never in the same room with this man again, because it's possible that down the line they could host joints, general gatherings, and you wouldn't want a situation where you didn't say anything and now you're forced to interact with this person again. So this is very concerning. All in all, I don't like this sort of behavior in people. He would have had the door shut in his face from the moment he's like, oh, can I sleep? Nope, closing the door. That's very strange. Oh, on to the next one. Story number 2. A week before the wedding and someone's trying to steal my fiance. Okay, burner accounts because I just need to get this out somewhere nobody knows me. Sorry in advance for the long post. It is quite long, but we will get through it together. I, 24 female, am set to get married to my high school sweetheart in little over a week from now. Congratulations, that's very sweet. I've liked him since elementary school, and honestly just thinking about how I actually ended up with him and I'm about to walk down the aisle with him is crazy to me. We're getting married at this absolutely gorgeous castle venue in the PNW. I don't know what that stands for. And it's peak fall weather right now, where it's just cold enough and the leaves are changing colors and it looks like a Gilmore Girls episode outside. I have this beautiful wedding dress that actually brought me and my mom to tears when I tried it on. And all my beloved family and friends are in town to help prep for the big day. And I'm again marrying the guy I've wanted to be with since I was a kid. Everything is as perfect can be, but I can't be happy and enjoy this next week because I just heard the most insane thing from my husband to be. A girl we went to school with, elementary through high school, reached out to my fiance and congratulated him on his engagement. No big deal. We've been getting messages like those a lot. She and I were never that close, but we were pretty good acquaintances through mutual friends. I moved schools and towns my sophomore year and lost contact with a lot of people, unfortunately. Anyways, she congratulated my fiance and then sent a few "how are you doing? We haven't talked in a while" type messages. She and my fiance were never close either, but he was and still is a really nice and popular guy, so everyone likes to talk to him. They exchanged a few messages just catching up on the past couple of years, and they get to talking about the wedding. She then drops a message that says she was a little disappointed about not getting invited to the wedding despite how close we all were in school. Again, we were never close in school. We saw each other on the playground and at lunches in the later years, but we never hung out in the same group. I know what you are. My fiance kind of brushed it off and apologized and told her we had a very limited seating, which is true. She then does not respond for a few hours and he thinks it's the end of things. But last night he got this huge paragraph from her basically saying she's been in love with him for years and how she wanted to confess to him in high school, but I got in the way. This bitch. People are mad. Anyway, let's get to the end. We were both completely flabbergasted, like jaws dropped on the floor, so quiet you could hear us blink, kind of shocked. The rest of her message is her trying to convince him to meet up with her to see each other again so they can have a talk about the past. Okay. I immediately tell my fiance to block her and whip out my phone to send her a piece of my mind, but he stops me and says I shouldn't be so hasty. You see, we're not done. I kind of agree with him that you shouldn't be so hasty. However, this coupled with, oh, he's a popular guy and he's a nice guy and everybody loves to talk to him. I don't want to think this is going where I think it might be going. Maybe I'm just too jaded. Who knows? But let's continue. I'm offended at this point because what does he mean by that? Exactly. So I ask and he says he's obviously not going to meet with her, but he can't just leave her hanging like that. I knew it! Oh my god. Oh, he can't just leave her hanging like that because it's rude and it'll hurt her feelings. I swear, cowards that hate to be the bad guy piss me off. Because what do you mean? Oh, it's just rude. I just can't just leave her hanging. I mean, she confessed to me after all these years and you got in the way of that back in high school. I can't just leave her hanging like that. I don't know how he can salvage this, but let's continue. I ask him if he ever had anything going on with her, and he instantly says no and that he never showed her any interest other than his usual platonic nature. I was so shocked and upset, I went to bed and just laid there processing. A while later, my fiance came in and said he sent a message back saying he was flattered but loved me and could not meet with her out of respect for his soon-to-be marriage. You want to know what her response was? She said that he deserved to be with someone better and that I bullied her all throughout high school because I knew she wanted him. I didn't even go to the same school as her for most of high school. How could I bully her from a town over? Oh my god. I know what you are. I know what you are. You're a trifling ass bitch. The lies. The lies. The lies. At that point, I was fed up, so I just got ready for bed and went to sleep. I woke up this morning and my fiance said he never texted her back after what she said. Since then, she sent a flurry of messages saying she just wanted him to know who he was really marrying and that she was always honest with him. I would like to be clear here and say I'm not upset with my fiance at all. I believe him when he says he never flirted with her or led her on. This girl, whatever she's going through, is trying to drive a wedge between us, and that's making me irate. I have never once done anything to her that could be considered bullying. She also never told me about how she had feelings for my fiance. He and I started dating a couple of months after I moved schools. She had plenty of time to talk with him and tell him how she felt with me out of the way. I understand the heartache she must be going through if she's been in love with my fiance all this time, but that doesn't give her the right to just spring this on him so close to the wedding day and expect him to run off with her. I want so badly to send her a message and ask her why she's telling lies about me, but I also just want to move on and forget this ever happened. Okay. That was a doozy. First of all, what do I think about all of this? Well, I'm a little concerned because this sounds, from her description and everything and how everybody's around and still being around people who you went to school with, it sounds a lot like this is a small town, which could mean that she would probably have access to the wedding venue. There was an abbreviation she gave at some point about PNW or something. I don't know what that means. So maybe it means they're going to a different town. I don't know. But if they're not, I am concerned that she could show up at the wedding and be like, I object, and start spewing more lies about the bride. Because what kind of behavior is this? Okay, fine. I got mad at the husband for wanting to not be rude and still send her a message back. Fine. His message was generally respectful. I don't like the fact that he even bothered, because when you encounter a situation where somebody is blatantly being disrespectful to you or someone who you love, I don't believe that considering rudeness should be your first priority. I don't believe that you being worried that you come off rude or standoffish should be your first priority. It seems like he's one of those really popular guys, and they generally tend to be used to a lot of attention, so I could understand how he's just used to being diplomatic and playing nice. But honestly, when it comes to your family and your loved ones, you don't play about them. You don't worry about being considered rude. You stand up and protect them first, in my opinion anyway. Maybe you guys have differing opinions, but in my opinion, when it comes to being confronted with someone like this who is coming to you and trying to express their feelings for you while simultaneously disrespecting the person that you have chosen to be in your life, being rude should not be your first consideration. The whole, oh, I can't just leave her hanging like that. Fall off a cliff for all I care. But anyway, it seems like that's the end. I just hope she doesn't like show up at the wedding or something. But that was very disrespectful and very stupid. Well, let's move on to the next one. My fiance's best friend crossed the line. Need advice. Hi everyone. I, 30 female, am marrying my fiance Jake, 32 male. The wedding is in less than a month. I tried my best to remain stress-free, but I'm struggling with a situation that's been weighing heavily on me, so I could really use some advice. Jake has a childhood best friend, Mary, 30 female. I already don't like where this is going. They have been best friends since they were 16, and he had a crush on her as a teenager. Normal stuff. She was the only girl in a male group of friends. Everybody had a crush on her. I don't want to be quick to judge, but it's giving, I don't get along with girls. There's so much drama. I don't get along with females. I don't get along with women. Like, I'm so drama-free. I'm so stress-free. Meanwhile, you're the drama. But let's continue. When I first met her, I genuinely liked her. I thought she was pretty and friendly and seemed happy that Jake had found me. She even told me multiple times how relieved she was that I wasn't his crazy, jealous ex who was so jealous of her and tried to ruin her relationship with Jake. And Jake's version seemed to tell me the same story. Before I go any further, I need to say this. Sometimes two people in their delusion could have the same story and the same outlook that contradicts somebody who has sense. I'm very much slow to listen to someone when they refer to an ex-partner of themselves or someone that they are close to as crazy, because they could be crazy in their reaction, but you were insane in what you did to cause that craziness. But let's continue. At first, I didn't question it, but over time, things started to add up. There you go. Whenever I spent time with Mary, I left with a bittersweet feeling. She would casually slip comments about things she and Jake did together, dates, inside jokes, and even some minor high school sexual experiences, phrased as if she was just reminiscing. She always tells me these things in a cool girl way, saying she just feels so comfortable talking to me about them. I know I should have done something, but I'm naturally quite a shy person, and I second guess everything. I felt like all these things were inappropriate for a best friend to share with her best friend's girlfriend, but I wanted to think she was just silly and not meaning any harm. This is what people like this bank on. They bank on people being non-confrontational enough to not call out their bullshit. What do you mean? Oh yeah, I'm just walking down memory lane about the sexual experiences I had with your boyfriend, or about the dates we went on, or about the inside jokes we have that, oh, you're not included in because you just don't have the history I do with him. I swear, I wish these people would just date the people that they keep doing this stuff with. Then there were moments that felt deliberate. At group gatherings, she would subtly isolate me, stepping between me and the others or changing the subject if I was speaking. She would interrupt conversations to take the spotlight, and once she even called Jake into a room and opened the door in just the top and panties. I know what you are. Another time, she tried to change clothes in front of him, and when he immediately left the room, she laughed it off, saying it wasn't a big deal. In brackets, I was in the same room. She clearly did it on purpose. At first, it was hard for Jake to see what I was seeing. Of course it was. Of course it's hard for them to see what you're seeing. I mean, it's just his best friend who he used to have a crush on and went on dates with and had some minor sexual high school experiences with. To his credit, he never dismissed me, but he tried to justify her behavior. That's just how he is, or she doesn't mean anything by it. Of course. I think almost worse than these people who do this type of nonsense like Mary are the enablers who just don't see any problem in it. Oh, I don't think she meant anything by it, or it's just how she is, you know? Oh my god. But in the past year, things have escalated. At 2 separate weddings, she caused major drama, spreading cruel gossip about the brides and other couples. Some of it was so mean that I got very upset and left the main room to get some air. Jake came along, and when I told him, he completely lost it. I begged him not to make a scene and not confront her. He wanted to disinvite her from our wedding. Why didn't you let him? Why didn't you let him? Like, he's finally seeing your side. He's finally coming to terms with what you're seeing. Why didn't you let him cause the scene? Why didn't you let him disinvite her to your wedding? I finally convinced him not to do anything because I didn't want to be the reason their friend group fell apart. Of course. But now she has crossed yet another line. She recently announced that she will be wearing a long satin, very whitish gown to our wedding. Oh god, I know what you are! She has seen my wedding dress, and what she picked is very similar, both being long, tight, and quite ivory. And because she's the best man, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? She will be standing right next to Jake at the altar. Oh my god, why didn't you let this man uninvite her to the wedding? Why didn't you let this man uninvite her to the wedding? When I politely pointed it out, she became extremely offended and defensive. I have no doubt she's now talking badly about me to their friends, painting me as the jealous fiance, just like she did with Jake's ex. She's even made a sarcastic remark. I'm so sorry if you think I could steal your attention. I know what you are. Jake is furious. He says that if she pulls anything, he will personally kick her out. Why don't you just kick her out already? He resents me a bit, I think. He says I should have just let him uninvite her. I agree with him. Why didn't you let him uninvite her? I love that he has my back, but again, I don't want any drama. Oh my god. Their families are very close, and her whole extended family is invited to the wedding, and the group of friends would be forced to take a side. Then let them take a side. If their friendship is fragile enough, let it fall apart. If this friend group is so precariously standing on the concept of, oh, Mary is a good person, it's okay, like nobody can like ice Mary out, like Mary's bad behavior, we just have to roll over and accept it, you know? If their friendship is so precariously standing on the concept of allowing Mary to continue her bad behavior, let it fall apart. Even if she finally decides to wear another dress, my fear is that she won't just try to take attention. She might actually try to ruin my dress or create some kind of scene. Oh my god. Weddings, yes, they're a general celebration of love and affection with your family and your friends and everybody who cares about you around to celebrate it. Of course, but it is your wedding. It is your wedding. Why, if you are worried that somebody would not just, cause a little scene, a little like confusion, like, okay, let's say we all have that aunt or uncle who they're not our favorite person, but generally they're not malicious. Fine, we let them come to the wedding, but this is somebody who you are worried that she will maliciously try to ruin your day. Why is she still invited? Because you don't want any drama? We've already told her there will be no speeches because she has a history of making everything about how Jake was in love with her but finally moved on. I can't believe that this is even something I have to worry about on my wedding day. I can't believe it either, because you should have let him uninvite this bitch. I invited only the people I love the most to this wedding. The energy has been nothing but love, no drama, just excitement and joy until now, and I feel completely stuck. Uninviting her isn't an option because it would cause massive drama on Jake's side. Then let it cause the drama. Oh my god. If their relationship is so precariously built on the concept of everybody allowing everybody's bad behavior to go unchecked, let the friendship fall apart. All her family friends that have been invited and they would side-eyeing if they attended the wedding and she wasn't there, let them go. You people take marriage way too lightly. When you are marrying somebody, you are saying, I am choosing you above everybody else in this world, and you are choosing me above everybody else in this world. Save our children. Literally, you are both leaving your individual households, your individual lives to come together and make one together. This is not just about this story. I am speaking about marriages in general. The two of you are meant to choose each other. That is what a marriage is. You choose each other again and again and again, even when it's not convenient. Of course, I'm not saying enable each other's bad behavior. I'm not saying that at all, because again, if your marriage is built on the premise of enabling each other's bad behavior, let it fall apart. I genuinely believe that. However, to the best of your ability, you are supposed to choose each other again and again and again, because that is what a marriage is. You choose each other over your tendencies for selfishness. You choose each other over the idea that you could do better with someone else. You choose each other over the family that's a little bit toxic, over the friends that's overstepped too much, over everybody. But you people take marriage too lightly. And now you are refusing. This person is refusing to allow her husband to choose her. And this is how she wants to start her marriage. Back to what we were saying. Uninviting her isn't an option because it would cause massive drama on Jake's side. And I know I would be blamed as the crazy girlfriend who tried to ruin their friendship. But at this point, after knowing everything I do now, I don't even believe his ex was crazy at all. Exactly. I think she just saw the same things I'm saying now. I don't know what to do. It's spoiling everything for me. This is exactly what I was saying earlier. Two people in their delusion can probably tell themselves the same exact story when someone else with sense is pointing out the obvious. And that's what happened to, unfortunately, the ex-girlfriend. And you have the privilege of your man believing you. He didn't believe her, which he should have probably, and which I'm side-eyeing him for. He didn't believe her, but he's believing you now. And you do not want to take advantage of it because you're scared to let him choose you. You're scared of the fallout from him choosing you. Anyway, her story has edits and updates. Edits. First of all, thank you to everyone who took the time to respond, even through commenters. Sometimes opening up with strangers helps more than talking to friends. In brackets, all my friends are just mad and ready to spill wine on her. Honestly, I think you should let them. People who love you are willing to choose you and do things to defend you, and you don't want to let them. I wanted to clarify a few things and share an update after a long conversation with Jake tonight. Number one, we are not in the US. Jake and I are originally from a Nordic European country but now live abroad. I mention this because cultural differences play a role here. Where we're from, it's not common to dictate what the bridal party wears. We wanted everyone to feel comfortable and choose their own outfits. We told all the guests that. But of course, we never expected someone to push the boundary so far. For those questioning the timeline, we've had a long engagement. Almost 2 years ago, when we first got engaged, Jake and Mary were still close, so it made sense for her to be the quote best man. The fact that she was ever the best man to begin with. This is someone who your husband was, quote, in love with, someone who he at least had a crush on, someone who he has had sexual encounters with, and she is standing next to your husband on the altar where the two of you are getting married. All the formalities have been completed. She signed the paper, her documents have been sent to the town hall, expensive gifts have been shared, etc. But over the past year, everything has changed. He has distanced himself. He never reached out to her first anymore. He only replies when she contacts him. Since we don't live in the same country, we don't see her often, only at big gatherings like Christmas or weddings. So, in our day-to-day lives, she's not present. Even better. Even better. For people saying your spouse should be your best friend, of course, Jake is my best friend. That's not even up for discussion. But having close friendships outside your relationship doesn't mean we aren't each other's closest person. This situation isn't about whether a man and a woman can be friends. It's just about boundaries. For those wondering if Jake still has feelings for her, if I had even the slightest doubt about that, I wouldn't be marrying him. But I don't. This isn't about him. It's about her. She constantly brings up the fact that he once had a crush on her when they were teenagers and he's not around. She knows he wouldn't take that lightly. It honestly feels like she clings to that detail as a way to boost her own ego. For my friends, she's just sad. So she doesn't even mention this stuff when your fiance is around. She mentions the stuff when he isn't around because she knows the reaction he would get. Why is she still your best man? I mean, okay, for Nordic European countries, I don't know what the procedure for being someone's best man is, but in most cases, it's not something that's ironclad. It's ironclad if you let it be. It's ironclad if you're like, oh, I don't want to go through the trouble of having someone else to be my best man. That is understandable, but in this situation, it is genuinely dangerous for her to still be the best man. Why is she still the best man? I just know that if she gets uninvited or demoted to guests, she will make sure that the entire wedding is about her. If you think I'm exaggerating, at the last Christmas gathering, she was being very clingy towards Jake, acting overly familiar. Nothing extremely inappropriate though. He got irritated and started avoiding her, and what did she do? She sat there the whole night throwing daggers at him with her eyes and making sure people noticed. People did notice and talked, and that's the thing. She thrives on making drama, but never goes incredibly overboard. This is why I was saying she's one of those, oh, women are drama. Meanwhile, she's the drama. Why uninviting her isn't simple. In our culture, this would cause a big scandal. At least 8 people, some of whom are very important to Jake, would refuse to come if we uninvited her. And even if we could accept that, it would still turn the wedding into a circus of gossip about her absence. This isn't just about the wedding day, it's about the fallout afterwards. The reality is, Jake comes from a small town where people love to talk, and she's very good at making herself the victim. I'm not a bridezilla by any means, but I'd rather people enjoy my wedding and think about us more than wondering why Mary is not there and speculating, especially because she will make sure people think she's not there because I am jealous of her. I wouldn't be able to enjoy my day. I'm in the wrong maybe, and I accept it, but I'm not a confrontational person, and the fights before the wedding will ruin it for me. Update on the dress situation. Jake and I had a very long conversation tonight. He's going to reach out to her directly about the dress. I asked him to wait for her reaction before making any decisions. He agreed to hold off until we saw how she handles it. That said, one thing is already decided. After the wedding, he's going no contact. He won't engage with her beyond group gatherings, and even then, he'll keep interactions as minimal as possible. This has been building for a long time, and after everything she's done, he's ready to be done with it. I'll update again after their conversation, and again, thank you to everyone who commented. This was 10 months ago. She's worried about her absence causing drama, but I guarantee no matter how much drama her absence would cause, her presence will cause even more. I fear that people in general, let me not say people in general, but I fear that as human beings, we are getting too comfortable with not making the hard decisions because we don't want something that we've built up in our minds. People in general are getting too comfortable with not making the hard decisions. Yes, uninviting her is a hard decision, but I guarantee, after he's already asked her to change her dress, after she's already made these sorts of remarks and been clingy and made it known that she was upset at your fiance for not paying attention to her, then yeah, having her in the wedding will be worse than not having her in the wedding, because I guarantee no matter how many people are like, oh, Mary isn't here, that's strange, no matter how many people are like that, I promise you it cannot compare to what she will do on your wedding, because she sees that he is willing to take a stand against her for you. If she has access to that wedding, I hope this person changed her mind, because it has been 10 months since she made this post, and I don't know when the wedding is. When is the wedding? The wedding was in less than a month from when she posted this. This has been posted 10 months ago. I really hope she changed her mind and didn't allow this person at the wedding, because if this person gets access to the wedding after she has already seen that your husband is, your fiance, soon to be husband, is willing to take a stand against her for you, I promise you, she knows her place in his life is limited. So she's gonna go out with a bang. She's gonna go out with all the drama, all the ruckus she can create. She'll ruckus all the ruckus she can ruckus before she has to leave his life. Yeah, I wish people would understand the disadvantage of not taking the hard decisions and being too mousy and too apprehensive about causing waves to stand up for yourself or to prevent a situation that will be exponentially worse than the one you're trying to avoid. But anyway, that has been it for this episode of Wedding Wednesdays. It has been quite an interesting one. If you watched to this point, thank you. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends as well. Let's see what they think. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.